ORM tools. Now what happened is each vendor has given a solution in a different approach. Basically all the ORM tools can transfer the objects between application and database. That is mainly the use of ORM tools. By providing the solution for mismatches between the object model and relational model. Because in object model, we have Java objects. In relational model, we have tables. Obviously, there is a mismatch between object model and the relational model. For example, if you want to check whether two objects are equal or not, which method we call to check whether two objects are equal objects or not? Equals is a method that we are going to call, right? Equals method can be used to check whether two objects are equal or not. To check whether two objects are equal or not, we have a method called what? Equals method. But whereas when you take to database, in a database, you don't have an equals method. How to check whether two rows are equal or not? There is a primary key. Primary key is a constant we apply on the table. If a primary key values are same in two records, then we say that both are equal records. But in our object model, how do you check whether two objects are equal or not? Equals method. Means what? Object model and a relational model, both are different. Both are not same. Right, guys? Both are different. So, ORM tools will provide a solution to match both of them. There are many ORM tools available in the market. Nothing but what? There are different vendors provided different ORM tools. Like I told yesterday, TopLink is an ORM tool. Hibernate is an ORM tool. Like that, there are many other. Data Nucleus is one ORM tool. MyBatis is an ORM tool. Like that, what happened? There are many ORM tools are available in the market. Suppose today, I am working with Hibernate in my project. Suppose today I am working with Hibernate in my project. Tomorrow when I am changing to another project, in that project, Hibernate is not the ORM tool. That project is using MyBatis as the ORM tool. That project is using MyBatis as the ORM tool, right? So if this is the case, then what happened? I know Hibernate, but I don't know about MyBatis. And both are given by two different vendors now. Obviously, what happens now that MyBatis looks very new to me. If I want to switch from Hibernate to MyBatis, it will take some time for me, right? Definitely, it will take some time. It will take some time for me to switch from Hibernate to the MyBatis, right? Which means what? It is making burden on the developer. Both are what tools only? ORM tools only. But what is different? Their implementation different. Because Hibernate is from one vendor, MyBatis is from the another vendor. So the developers are facing what? Developers are facing an issue. An issue while switching from one ORM tool to the another ORM tool. That is what the problem actually initially faced by the developers. Then what Sun Microsystems did? What Sun Microsystems people did is they given one common specification. Common specification means you feel in Java like an interface. They given common specification, right? That specification name is JPA. Sun Microsystems given one specification called what now? JPA, Java Persistence API. JPA is not an implementation, just only specification. Means what? JPA just contains interfaces. What it contains? Basically interfaces, but not the implementation classes. Sun Microsystems given a specification called JPA. And all the ORM tool vendors have provided implementation for the JPA specification. So one of the implementation of JPA is Hibernate. Actually, when Hibernate was introduced, okay, there was no specification called JPA. Already Hibernate, Top Link, MyBet is like this. Many ORM tools are available by different vendors. They prepared, they given the softwares to the developers. But what is the problem the developers are facing? Developers are facing that when switching from one ORM technology to other ORM tool, technology or tool, when we are switching from one tool to the another tool, developers are facing an issue. To resolve that problem, Sun Microsystems given one common specification called JPA, and asked all the other vendors who are providing the ORM tools to provide the implementation. What happened now? All the ORM tools provided implementation for JPA. Now, as a developer, I need to learn, I need to know about what JPA. If I know JPA, then I can happily work with what? Any ORM tool. Now switching or migrating from one ORM tool to the another ORM tool is made very easy. To make it easy, what is a common specification that Sun Microsystems provided? JPA. So what is JPA finally? It is a specification. JPA is not ORM tool. JPA is not the ORM tool. It is just only specification. You feel that what? JPA is like interface. Hibernate is like class, implementation class. Normally in Java, interface and class, na? Right. One interface can be implemented into only one class, or multiple classes can implement an interface. An interface can be implemented by multiple classes, na? You feel Hibernate as one class, or you take some MyBatis is one class. If you feel like that, JPA is like an interface, and these Hibernate, MyBatis, Top Link, blah, blah, blah. These are all called implementation classes like that. Now that is called JPA. So why JPA specification given by Sun Microsystems for the developers? To easily switch from one ORM tool to the another ORM tool. Because 90% of all the ORM tools will implement JPA specification. Their own features also may be available. Okay, for example, you take Oracle, MySQL, DB2. Almost all the databases will provide commonly same features. Plus, additionally, their own features also included. If exactly same as it is, then why these many database softwares are required? One is sufficient, na? Right? So 90% of the features are same. 10% of features will be differed from one database server to another database server. Similarly, 90% of the features are common in all the ORM tools, but 10% of features are different from one ORM tool to the another ORM tool. And which ORM tool is providing more features? Hibernate. So Hibernate got more popularity in the industry. Hibernate got more popularity in the industry. Why Hibernate got more popularity? Because of its unique features. Right? Are you getting my point? That is the difference you have to find out between what and what? JPA and Hibernate. Is JPA and Hibernate both are one and the same or not? Is a question. Then what is your answer? What is the difference between JPA and Hibernate? Yeah, guys, write in chat box. Hmm. Yeah, guys in online, expecting more response from you. Yes. Good. Good. Okay, nice. So coming to the point here, I would like to write now. First of all, understand JPA stands for Java Persistence API. I'm writing some points you can see here. Initially, multiple vendors provided. I'm writing some point here. You can see that. Okay. Initially, multiple vendors provided ORM tools. ORM tools to make object model and a relational model to work together. You got my point, guys? Initially, what? Multiple vendors provided ORM tools to make object model and relational model to work together. Okay. Multiple vendors provide ORM tools to make object model and relational model to work together. That is initially. Now, what happened? I'll tell you here. What is the point I want to tell you now? When developers are switching from one ORM tool to the another tool, when developers are switching from one ORM tool to another, they have faced multiple issues. Simply, they have faced issues. Okay. So to allow developers to switch easily from one ORM tool to another ORM tool. So Sun Microsystems provided a common specification for the developers called JPA. Called JPA. Okay, na? Right. Developers switch easily from one ORM tool to another. Sun Microsystems provide a common specification for the developers called JPA. Okay. For the JPA specification, the ORM tool vendors provided implementation. Okay. So simple what a specification is given by Sun Microsystems, implementations are given by various vendors. The ORM tool vendors provided implementation. ORM tool vendors provided what? Implementation. Okay. For the JPA specification, ORM tool vendors provided implementation. Most of the JPA specification, is created by taking the features from Hibernate and some features from Top Link. Sun Microsystems given specification by taking most of the features from Hibernate and some features from TopLink. TopLink is also one more ORM tool from Oracle Corporation. Sun Microsystems given JPA specification by taking most of the features from where? Hibernate and some features from TopLink. And some features from TopLink. That's the reason why mostly JPA and Hibernate looks the same. Because in JPA specification, whatever the features are included, all those features are taken from Hibernate only. That's the reason why almost what are looking equal. JPA and Hibernate mostly looking equal because most of the JPA features are taken from Hibernate only. And some features are different, but most of the features are from Hibernate only. Okay. Now, we call the ORM tools. I'm writing a point, guys. Online people, you can understand what are the statements I'm writing here. We call the ORM tools. We call the ORM tools who provided implementation for JPA. Implementation for what? We call the ORM tools who provide implementation for the JPA. Implementation for the JPA as JPA vendors or JPA providers. JPA providers. So here I just want to give you something like this, guys. I just want to tell you. See, for example, what I'm saying here, JPA. JPA is a specification. JPA is a specification. Now what? This specification is implemented by multiple vendors. It is implemented by multiple vendors. Say for an example, Hibernate. For example, Hibernate. Okay, for example, I can say, for example, TopLink. Or say, for example, there is one more called Eclipse Link. This is also one more popular one, Eclipse Link. OpenJPA. Of course, I'm not writing everyone, but only writing 3, 4 to understand. OpenJPA. And there are many other. Okay, I can say comma. There are many other. I'm not writing all of them. There are many other available. MyBatis, data nucleus, blah, blah, blah. I can't write everything, but I'm writing like this now. Now, what I can tell you guys, I can tell you that what JPA is a specification. JPA is a specification. JPA is a specification, right? What are all these now? Vendors provided implementation. So we call them as what? JPA providers. Now we call all of them as JPA providers. We call all these as JPA providers. Okay, we call all these as JPA providers. Or we can call even them as JPA vendors. Okay, we call even them as JPA vendors. Okay, right? Data JPA is not related to this JPA. Data JPA means it's related to Spring Data. Spring Data is a project. Spring Data JPA is a sub-project of JPA. Sub-project of Spring Data. That's a different story that we can't discuss here. Okay. right? Anyhow, who is the most popular one here? Hibernate. Okay, almost 99%, almost all the Java projects use Hibernate as a JPA provider. Okay, and some projects you can find even, if I say 99 remaining 1%, you can say they use Eclipse Link. So these are the only two. One is Hibernate and second one is Eclipse Link. These are the most popularly. Hibernate is most popular. In some projects you may find Eclipse Link. Okay, then why Hibernate is the most popular? Because Hibernate is offering more additional features when compared with the other ORM tools. Let us understand about what are the features of Hibernate today, right? So finally, Hibernate is what? Hibernate is our class. What is Hibernate? It is an ORM tool. We can even call it as a JPA provider. Hibernate provided implementation for Hibernate is a framework or a tool which has provided implementation for which specification? JPA. JPA specification is created by taking many features from or most of the features from Hibernate only and some features from Top Link, one more framework. Then Sun Microsystems created one common specification called what? JPA. Almost what and what are going to look same? Hibernate and JPA both are going to look almost same. They are going to look like same. Hibernate and JPA both are going to look like very, very same. Right. Observe here. You need to understand a question here. See, for example, that everyone understand here, I'm trying to tell you. For example, I am creating one DAO class in my project. Okay. I am creating a DAO class in my project. DAO class means data access object, DAO class. DAO class contains all the database related logics. Okay, we separately define DAO classes with database related operations. That is called a DAO class. It's a one design pattern actually. Okay, simply we call it as a DAO class. What I'm doing now, I am writing this DAO class using Hibernate, for example, today. Using what I'm writing? Using Hibernate, I am writing DAO class today. Tomorrow, I have a requirement. Already I created my DAO classes using Hibernate framework directly. Directly using which framework? Hibernate framework. I have created my DAO class already. Done. Not only one DAO class, one project contain many multiple DAO classes. Project means it contain multiple DAO classes. What I did now, I have created one DAO classes using Hibernate. Then it's almost 50, 60, 70% completed. The code is ready. Suddenly, a change required in my project. The decision changed. Don't use Hibernate. Don't use Hibernate. Change all the DAO classes to Eclipse Link. Change all the DAO classes to what? Eclipse Link. Then tell me, in all the DAO classes, already I used what? Hibernate, right? In all the DAO classes, I have already used what? Hibernate. Correct? Right? But now requirement is what? Now there is a requirement. The client said, don't use Hibernate. Change to what? Eclipse Link. Change to the Eclipse Link. Then tell me in all my DAO classes, I need to change my code now. Already my DAO classes is developed using which framework? Directly I am using Hibernate. Directly I am using Hibernate. But now I need to change to what? Eclipse link. Then only in one class I need to change. In all the DAO classes I need to change. That is my question. Write in chat box. Write in chat box. Do I need to make changes to in only one DAO class or in all the DAO classes? For example, I have 100 DAO classes. For example, I have 100 DAO classes, and in all the 100 DAO classes of my project, I have already used Hibernate. But now suddenly there is a change required called Eclipse link. I'm asking you question is, what's the question I'm asking you is, do I need to make change only in one DAO class or in all the DAO classes? That is a question. That is a question. Good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct answer is, we need to make change in all the DAO classes. Okay, we need to make the change in all the DAO classes. In all the DAO classes, we need to make change. Okay, we need to make change in all the DAO classes. Good. For example, this is my DAO class 1. Now this is my DAO class 2. And for example, this is my DAO class 3. Like this, I have multiple DAO classes in my project. In my project, I have multiple DAO classes. Okay, get the point clearly. This is a DAO class 1. This is a DAO class 2. For example, I'm taking only 3. And this is my DAO class 3. Already I have developed what all these DAO classes, right? And already in all the DAO classes, which framework I was used? Hibernate is a framework I have already used. In all the DAO class, I use a Hibernate framework and developed them. But suddenly, what is the change now? Okay, the change is that what client don't want to use Hibernate. Client said don't use Hibernate, change to what? Eclipse link. Then what should I do? Go to each and every DAO class. Almost all the code you need to change, because already your code is developed using Hibernate, but now the client want it in Eclipse link. Then what should I do? Write the code in Eclipse link. My first DAO class, my second DAO class, my first DAO class, my second DAO class, and my third DAO class. In all the DAO classes, now I have changed it to what? New ORM tool. What is it? Eclipse link. Eclipse link. Done. But it will take some time, because change is required in one DAO class and in all the DAO classes. In all the DAO classes, obviously what will happen? It will take some time to change all the DAO classes. Okay. Now, observe it. The second scenario. I'm removing all these things. I'm removing all these things now, guys. I want to remove all these things. Let me tell you next. Now you can understand me. I'll tell you next. Now I'm writing all my DAO classes using JPA specification. I'm writing simply spec. All my DAO classes I have developed all my DAO classes using JPA specification. Using JPA specification I have developed. JPA specification I have used and in DAO classes. And I developed all the DAO classes using, I have developed all the DAO classes using JPA specification. But JPA is a specification, it is not implementation, right? Feel that it is only an interface, but we need implementation also, na? So in my project configuration, say there is a configuration file is there in my project. This is my project configuration file. This is my project config file. Means configuration file. In my project configuration file, I have configured Hibernate as a JPA provider. Configured Hibernate as a JPA provider. Okay. Now tell me, in my DAO classes, what I'm using? JPA specification. In my project configuration file, I have configured who is the JPA provider? Hibernate. Guys, in online, are you understanding me? Type C or N. Make it fast. Make it fast, guys. Waiting for a response. Okay. Okay, good. Good, guys. Observe. Yeah, okay. Coming to the point here. Yes. Point is what, guys? In all my DAO classes, I'm using which specification to develop them? JPA specification I'm using to develop them. But in my project configuration file, I have configured who is JPA provider? Hibernate. Hibernate. Very good. Tomorrow, what my client said, after almost 70% of the code is ready. Almost all the DAO classes are ready. Then my client said what? Don't use Hibernate, use Eclipse link. My question is, do I need to make change in all the DAO classes? Do I need to make any change in all the DAO classes now? No. I no need to change in DAO classes. What can I do? Now I can only change in the project configuration file, correct? In the project configuration file, I have configured who as a JPA provider earlier? Hibernate. Now what I need to do? Now I need to configure in place of Hibernate. Tell me what I need to configure now? Yes, I need to configure Eclipse link as a JPA provider. Now this is easy to switch from one JPA provider to another JPA provider. Hibernate is also JPA provider. Eclipse link is also a JPA provider. OpenJPA is also a JPA provider. But it is very easy to switch from one JPA provider to another JPA provider. Otherwise, one ORM tool to another ORM tool. Able to follow me, right? Right. So that is an advantage of writing the DAO classes with what specification? JPA specification. What is JPA and what is Hibernate? Write in chat box, guys. Yeah, guys, write in chat box. Yeah. Got my point? What is the difference between Hibernate and JPA? You got the point? Yeah. Nice. Okay. Okay. Good now. So you got the important point here, because many of the people are lacking this type of clarity. They are feeling that Hibernate, JPA are same, or both are too different, or I don't know about what it is. Like this, everybody is having in a confusion state. Okay, but you should not be in that confusion state. What is the clarity here? What is the advantage of writing the DAO classes of a project using Hibernate and using JPA? Question is what is the difference between writing the DAO classes using directly Hibernate and writing the DAO classes using JPA specification? This is the question. What is your answer? Type in chat box. Yeah, good. Good, guys. Good, okay, I understood your answer. Okay, I'm just going to give you a question here, okay? I just want to give like a question and answer. Today you are understanding about what is really JPA and what is really Hibernate. This clarity is very, very important. Everybody is missing this clarity, so you need to get this clarity so that you can enjoy the subject, okay? Right. Right. Good. Good. Nice to hear you. See here. The question is, what is the difference between writing the DAO classes? Don't feel that DAO classes means it is a very big topic. DAO class means just like your normal Java class only. DAO class is what? A normal, your Java class only. But in that class, purely you are writing database operations only. You are not writing any business logic. If you are writing purely business logic, that will become service layer class or service class. Service class, DAO class. Service class purely contain business logic. DAO class purely contain database logic. Database operations are database logic. And it doesn't contain any other logic. Only database logic. Are connecting with the database, executing the queries, retrieving the data, or inserting the data, or deleting the data. That totally we are writing in one class. That is called what class? A DAO class. So DAO classes purely contain what logic? Database logics are there in DAO class. Okay, right, nice. What is the difference between writing the DAO classes directly using Hibernate and using JPA? Okay, guys, next let's move on. I will explain you. So what is the difference here between writing the DAO classes directly using Hibernate and JPA is, I'm writing, if we write, first point, if we write the DAO classes directly, if we write the DAO classes directly, what? If we write the DAO classes directly, if we write the DAO classes directly using Hibernate, then whenever if you want to switch, to another ORM tool, if you want to switch to another ORM tool, all the DAO classes must be modified. All the DAO classes must be modified. That is with the Hibernate. The problem is with that. All the DAO classes must be modified. Whenever if you want to switch to another ORM tool, all the DAO classes must be modified. Absolutely. All the DAO classes must be modified. Next. Second point. If you write the DAO classes using JPA, then whenever if you want to if you want to switch to another ORM tool, whenever if you want to switch to another ORM tool, just we only need to modify the project configuration file. Okay, guys, have you understood the answer here? Please type C or N in the chat box. Everybody need to type. Only some people are only responding, remaining are not responding. Everybody please respond. Yeah, please respond, guys. I'll come to know you are in sync with the class or not. Project configuration files will understand in applications. We have Hibernate configuration file, Spring configuration file, like that. There are some configuration files exist for the projects. Okay, good. Now I will like to move now. Many of all of you people said yes. Okay, let's move on. Today you got the clarity between what and what. Today you got the clarity between what and what? JPA and Hibernate. You should know the difference between JPA and Hibernate. Hibernate is one of the JPA provider. Like Hibernate, there are multiple JPA providers exist. Another example is Eclipse Link. Another example is Open JPA also. So whenever we are writing DAO classes in our project, what we are using in DAO classes is JPA. And in the configuration file of our project, we will configure who is the JPA provider? Hibernate. Mostly Hibernate only uses JPA provider. What is the advantage of writing the DAO classes using JPA? In future, if you want, we can switch from one ORM tool to the another ORM tool without making any multiple changes. Just at one or two places, we can do the change. That's all. No need to make any complete changes. You got the you got the clarity on this point now? Very good. Nice. Let's move on. Now coming to today's point, we'll also talk about what are the features of Hibernate or advantages of Hibernate, whatever it is. Our session is about Hibernate. But when we are writing our applications, we are going to write our applications using JPA specification. And we are going to use Hibernate as a JPA provider. First example, we will completely use Hibernate only without JPA. We completely use Hibernate. From the second example, we'll switch, because you will get at least an idea of how to write completely the DAO class only using Hibernate. First example will be like that. From the second example onwards, what we do? In every example, what we do? We will write our DAO classes using JPA, and in the configuration file, we will write Hibernate as a JPA provider. You got my point? Nice. Cool. Cool. Right. Let's move on, guys. We will understand about what features of Hibernate. You're learning about what features of Hibernate. Let us understand about what are the features of Hibernate. Okay, guys. I will explain about, okay. I'll explain about what are the features of Hibernate. I repeat once again, the first example only we are writing only purely using Hibernate without using any JPA. Without using any JPA, first example we are purely writing in Hibernate only. But from the second example, then we will write our DAO classes using JPA, and in the configuration file, I'll tell you what is configuration file. In the configuration file, we will change, we will configure Hibernate as the JPA provider. Right, good. Good. Coming to features of Hibernate. Yeah. The first one, I would like to write the first one as HQL. That is Hibernate query language. The first feature is Hibernate query language. I will explain this. What is this feature of Hibernate today? HQL. Once you got the features of Hibernate, then discuss about what is the meaning of mapping and how do we do the mapping between the Java object and database table. First, we'll understand about some of the important features of Hibernate. Okay, why Hibernate is most popular one? Because of Hibernate is offering multiple additional features to the Java applications, right? Let us understand one of the feature, that is HQL. HQL stands for Hibernate query language. Actually, HQL looks like SQL. I mean, SQL, structured query language. Okay, right. SQL queries also. But we know SQL queries are what? A database dependent. SQL queries are what? Means what does it mean now? If you take one SQL query, the same query may not execute on another database. Okay, I repeat once again, most of the SQL queries will commonly execute. But some queries will only execute on database 1 but does not execute on database 2. Because some classes are supported by database 1, not supported by database 2. Okay, right? Normally, if you write SQL query in your Java class, I mean your DO class. If you write SQL query, what's the problem? That SQL query will only execute on database 1. What happens tomorrow? You are switching. Your project is switching from Oracle to MySQL or MySQL to Oracle. Anyone? Then what happens? That SQL query, whatever you already written in your project, in your class, that may not execute in the other database. It is perfectly running in MySQL, but not running in Oracle. You are getting my point? Most of the queries will execute in almost all the databases, but there are some queries which will only execute in one database, but does not execute in another database. Are you getting my point, everyone? Are you following me? Everyone, are you getting my point? What I'm trying to tell you? SQL queries are database dependent. SQL queries are database dependent. What does it mean? What does it mean? One query perfectly executes in one database, but may not execute in another database. Some queries will be like that. Some queries will execute in all databases commonly, but some queries does not execute like that. So basically what we can say, SQL queries are database dependent. That's the reason why Hibernate has given own query language. What is the own query language of Hibernate here? HQL. HQL stands for what? Hibernate query language. Hibernate query language is given. Who given this? Hibernate only. Hibernate only. Now tell me, when I am writing my classes, my Java classes, means my DO classes, nothing but my Java classes. When I am writing my Java classes, instead of writing SQL queries in my class, I can write what query now? HQL query. What is the advantage of writing HQL query? Now this HQL query will exactly execute or will execute on any database. What about SQL query? No guarantee. Some queries may execute, some queries may not execute. Correct? But what about HQL? Yeah, it will execute on all the databases. All the databases. Means what? HQL is a database independent query language. SQL is a database dependent query language. And again, a question. Guys, are you getting in online? Type in chat box now. Have you understood now? Fast, make it fast, guys. I'm waiting for response. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Make it fast. Yeah, guys, respond fastly. Guys in online, respond fastly. Yeah. So one more point I'll tell you. Don't feel that again I have to learn one more query language. It's not a burden. Because as a Java developer, we have an idea of SQL already. We have idea of what? How to write the SQL queries. Okay. Similar to SQL queries only, we can write HQL queries. Means what HQL queries looks like SQL queries. There is no burden on the developer. Developer is no need to learn HQL separately. Already you are learning SQL separately now. Already you learned SQL already, right? HQL, you no need to learn like that. Because HQL queries are looks like what? Yeah, HQL queries are looks like what? SQL queries only. SQL queries, HQL queries looks like same. But there is a difference. There is a difference. I'll tell you what's the difference now. Are you getting my point? But what I'm trying to tell you now, Hibernate is not providing any more burden on you by providing HQL, because HQL queries looks like SQL queries only with a small change. I'll tell you what's the change. Okay? Right. Good. Guys, are you getting in online? Please type CRN. Make it fast. Yeah. Look at this. I'll tell you. Yeah. Good to see. Right. Good, guys. Observe here. Observe here, guys. Try to understand me, everyone. Look at this. For example, I'm telling you, just for example, for an example, I'm writing. Again, I'll give the points on this. What is this HQL? But I won't tell you. For example, I have a query like this. For example, I have a query like this. Select star from EMP. We know that this is SQL query now. In HQL, the same query we write like this. Select E from employee E. This is HQL. Select E from employee. EMP is a table now. In place of table, we write class reference. What we write? Class reference. Employee is a class. E is a reference of the class. Means in place of table, what we are writing? In place of the table name, what we are writing? Class reference we are writing. Class reference we are writing. In place of asterisk star, I'm writing the reference variable. I'm writing the reference variable with a small change. What is there? In HQL query, we don't write the table name. In place of table name, what we write? Class reference we write. What we write? Class reference we write. In place of asterisk, what we write? Reference variable. Reference variable. So first one is what query? SQL query. Second one is which query? HQL query. Say, for example, I have one more. Select empno comma ename from emp. This is what query? SQL query. It is a SQL query. It's an SQL query. Select empno comma ename from emp. This is what? SQL query. Now I want to write what? HQL query. See, select e dot, observe here, employee number, comma, e dot, employee name from employee. Now this is what query? This is a HQL query. I'll tell you. This is called HQL query. I mean, the queries are like this. I'm not telling entire HQL now today only, but I just want to tell you a clarity. I want to give a clarity. Observe here. If you look at this, what is empno comma ename from emp? First of all, what is empno comma ename? Names, column names. What is emp? Table name. But here I'm writing what? E dot employee no. Employee no is not column name, variable name. What is employee? Class reference. What is the class name here? Employee. What is the reference variable? E. In employee class, there is a variable called employee no. There is a variable called employee name. Means tell me, in place of column names, what I'm typing? Variables names I'm typing. What I'm typing? In place of table name, what I'm typing? Class reference I'm typing. This is called what query? HQL query. But what is the difference between both the queries? What's the difference between the HQL queries and SQL queries? Type in chat box now. Type in chat box. Okay, guys, nice. Okay, good response. Yeah. Okay, complete HQL I'm not explaining it today. Only features we are discussing. There are so many variations of writing the queries, but I'm only talking about basically just to know the difference. To know the difference between what and what SQL and HQL. Only I'm talking only with respect to today, not in future what I'm going to explain. I'm only talking about today to tell you that HQL means like this. You no need to learn separate query language. It is also looking like SQL. Just to tell you that I have taken 2 examples. Okay, right. What's the difference between SQL and HQL? What's the difference between HQL and SQL? HQL is a database independent query language. SQL is a database dependent query language. HQL is the own query language of Hibernate. And why Hibernate has given this? Because to make the DAO classes as database independent. DAO classes means what? Your normal Java class. A Java class in which you are writing the database operations. That is called as DAO class. Right. That is called as DAO class. Okay. Right. So I want to give you the point. Features of Hibernate we started today. In that first feature is an important one. HQL, Hibernate query language. Let me write a point here so that you can understand it. Okay. So I can say that it is the own query language. What? It is the own query language of Hibernate. Hibernate. And second point, what I want to write? Hibernate has provided HQL to make the DAO classes. Don't feel DAO as a big word. DAO class means normal Java class only, where you are writing database operations. That is called DAO class. For creating, inserting, updating, deleting, whatever the logics you are writing, that is called DAO class. So what is that? Hibernate has provided HQL to make DAO classes as a database independent. SQL queries are database dependent, and HQL queries are database independent. Okay na? SQL queries are database dependent and HQL queries are database independent. HQL queries are database independent. Okay, right. And one more point also I would like to write here. The point I want to write is HQL doesn't provide any burden on developer, because do you know what's the reason? HQL doesn't provide any burden on developer because what's the reason? Yes, because HQL queries are also looks like what queries only? SQL queries only. HQL queries are also looks like SQL queries only. I'm writing in SQL query. We use column names and table names. But in HQL query, tell me what? But in HQL query, we use in SQL query we use column names and table names. But in HQL query we use what? We use in HQL query? Variables names and class reference. We use variable names and class reference. Guys, online guys, have you understood the session for today? Good. Okay.